Have you ever crammed for a test, thinking you've got it all down, only to have it completely disappear from your brain the very next day? But you can probably still sing every single word of a song you haven't heard in 10 years. So what gives? Well, it's not magic. It's all about how your brain is wired to learn. And in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the science of learning and the strategies that actually make knowledge stick. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with this one big idea. From the second you see something, hear something, or feel something new, your brain just kicks into gear. It's on this constant mission, asking, okay, what is this? And how does it fit in with everything else I already know? Your brain is literally designed to hunt for patterns and, most importantly, to create meaning out of everything. So picture this. You're sitting in a classroom, and your teacher, Miss Bishop, flashes this really complicated-looking diagram up on the screen. But it's only up for 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then it's gone. She turns to the class and asks, "So, what did you see?" I mean, what could you possibly pick up in that tiny amount of time, right? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. In those 3 short seconds, the students' brains weren't just blankly absorbing an image. Oh no, they were actively trying to make sense of it. They caught words like memory and immediately guessed the diagram was about learning. In fact, one student was so convinced, she swore she saw the word learning on the diagram, even though, get this, it wasn't actually there. Her brain had already jumped ahead, filling in the blanks and making connections. That little classroom experiment, it's the perfect window into how our brain's internal filing system really works. And, understanding how we process information is really the first big step to becoming a better learner or a better teacher. The technical model for all this is called information processing theory. Just think of it like a roadmap for knowledge. It lays out the whole journey, how information comes in through our senses, gets processed, and then hopefully gets stored away so we can find it later. It's the how-to guide for thinking and learning. And a super important part of that roadmap is something called schema theory. This theory focuses on how our long-term memory is built. So imagine your memory is this giant, perfectly organized filing cabinet. Each folder in that cabinet is a schema. It's a bundle of connected facts and concepts about a topic. Now, if new information comes along and your brain has a folder already labeled for it, boom, it gets filed away, easy peasy. But if there's no folder for it, it just becomes a loose piece of paper, likely to get lost. Okay, so if our brain is this giant filing system, how do we actually use that to our advantage? Well, the first big strategy is all about intentionally connecting new information to the files you've already got. This brings us to a really key difference: rote learning versus meaningful learning. Rote learning, it's just memorizing random stuff, like your multiplication tables or a list of vocabulary words. The connections are totally arbitrary. But meaningful learning, that's when you connect new ideas to things you already get. It's not random at all. And because it hooks directly into your existing schema, your mental filing system, it's way, way easier to hold on to. So how do we actually build those meaningful connections? Well, one of the most powerful tools is called an advanced organizer. Now, I know, it sounds a little technical, but think of it like a warm-up for your brain. It's basically anything you do before you start learning that gets the right mental file folders open and ready for the new information that's about to come in. A fantastic, classic example of this is the KWL chart. Before a lesson even starts, students take a minute to jot down what they already know about a topic and what they want to find out. This simple little exercise is huge. It primes the pump, right? It gets them thinking about what they already know, which makes their minds way more receptive to absorbing and categorizing what they ultimately learn. Analogies work in exactly the same way. They're like a shortcut for the brain. When you compare something new to something that's already familiar, you're building a bridge. For instance, if you're trying to explain Buddhism to students who only know about Christianity, you can draw parallels. You're using their existing Christianity schema as a foundation to build understanding of a completely new concept. So, connecting is one half of the puzzle. But what's the other half? Organization. Our second big strategy is all about structuring information so that your brain can file it away neatly and efficiently. Let me tell you about this fascinating study from way back in 1969. Researchers took a big list of 112 words, all about different minerals. They split students into 2 groups. Group 1, they got the words in a totally random, jumbled order. But group 2, they were taught the exact same words, but this time the words were organized into a clear logical hierarchy. And the results were just, wow. The group that got the random list, they recalled about 65 words on average. Not bad. But the group that received the organized presentation, they recalled an average of 100 words. That's a massive difference. We're talking about the same words, the same amount of time. The only thing that changed was the organization. So what does this tell us? This isn't just some quirky little finding. This is a blueprint for learning. It shows us that one of the biggest levers you can pull to improve memory is just structure. A logical structure acts like a map for your brain. Instead of a messy pile of facts, your brain gets a clean hierarchy, which creates these little retrieval paths that make it so much easier to find the information when you need it later. It's like a learning superpower. Okay, so let's put this all together. What's the big takeaway from all this? Well, understanding these core principles, making meaning, building connections, and organizing information, it changes everything. It shifts the goal from just telling people stuff to what you might call intentional teaching. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? An intentional teacher, or really an intentional learner, doesn't just throw facts out there. They're an active guide in the learning process. They are deliberately building bridges between what's already known and what's new, making sure that knowledge isn't just heard, but that it's actually understood and woven into the fabric of the mind. At the end of the day, your brain isn't just some empty box waiting to be filled up with facts. You're not a passive recipient. You are an active builder of your own knowledge. Every single new thing you learn is physically remodeling the architecture of your brain. So that really leaves us with one final thought. Whether you're a teacher trying to design a lesson or you're a student trying to wrap your head around a new subject, remember these strategies. Activating what you already know and organizing what you need to learn, these aren't just cute little tricks. They are fundamental to how our minds are built to work. So the real question is, how are you going to use them?